Redditors who proposed and were turned down. Why did your partner reject the proposal, and why were you confident you'd get a yes? She thought she had a tumor in her stomach, which turned out to be scar tissue from a previous surgery that just grew. So when she learned it was not cancer, she said yes. She said no because we were teenagers and I was moving across the country. I was confident I'd get a yes, because we were teenagers and I was moving across the country. Honestly, it was for the best. We were in Vegas for his brother's wedding and I was incredibly drunk and suggested we just go to a little chapel and get hitched. He said that probably wasn't a great idea, and he was right, since I found out later he was seeing other people and took money out of my account after we broke up. My boyfriend proposed to me while facing the microwave. I thought he was hungry and talking to his food. Then he proposed while we were in bed. His eyes were closed. I figured he was asleep, and it was cute. Then he legit proposes with a ring in an awesome place. I say yes, etc. Turns out he'd proposed multiple times over the last 2 years and thought I'd always brushed him off. Now happily married, and not to the microwave. I gave my then girlfriend a promise ring. We'd been dating for a year and I wanted to buy her something special to mark the occasion. I asked my mom for some advice on a gift. My folks had the happiest, healthiest relationship I've ever witnessed, so when my mom told me how elated she was when my dad gave her a promise ring, they were young and didn't have much money, so dad gave mom a promise ring while he saved for an engagement ring. I knew that I was going to do the same. I planned a nice evening dinner at her favorite restaurant, flowers, a walk by the lake, her favorite dessert. While walking, I found a nice spot and pulled out the ring. I slid it onto her finger, explaining what it was and what it meant. My girlfriend looked as though I'd just shit on her hand. She pulled the ring off her finger, handed it back to me and said, in so many words, "Thanks, but no thanks, come back when it's an engagement ring." After learning about my grand romantic gesture, her mom explained to me that the whole promise ring thing is a bit old-fashioned and people don't really do that anymore. I felt like an idiot. We broke up not long after. College girlfriend, near graduation. She moved in with me the night we met because we had such a strong bond and because she had such a horrible roommate. We'd been living together a couple of years. She said that she wanted to spend the rest of her life with me. There was going to be some separation. I had a semester at sea left. I knew she was opposed to the idea of marriage, but I was terrified of losing her and wanted a commitment. She said no. I tried to change her mind on and off for about 6 months and finally gave up. 4 years later she said, "You know that question you asked? You should ask again. You might get a different answer." I had no clue. We got engaged in 90, married in 91. 3 sons. Still going strong. My mom initially turned my dad down. He traveled for work for long periods and was given the option to regularly fly home or fly someone to him. It's all rather romantic, really. They spent a week traveling through the French countryside after only being together for 3 months. She went with him abroad a few times and many different places in the US for long weekends. Of course, he'd also be home for periods of time and they'd stay together at my mom's place. When he proposed after taking a job with much less travel, my mom was afraid that they'd settle down and live together full time and maybe find out it didn't work. She didn't think it was practical to get married without living normal life together first. My dad thought that was unnecessary but said fine, my mom is an excessive worrier. Though I understand the logic. He asked 4 months later and she said yes. Your mom knows what's up. It's too easy to enjoy time with someone when you only see them for vacations. Living with a person, and striking a good balance for everyday drudgery, is something else entirely. My friends proposed to his girlfriend at another one of our friends' weddings. They'd been dating for years and she knew he had a ring and that he was waiting for the right moment. She thought it was totally rude to try to steal the spotlight and didn't necessarily say no, but she sure as hell didn't say yes either, just a bunch of cussing. The whole situation stole the spotlight anyway, and now they're married for almost 10 years and the couple's whose wedding it was at divorced 2 years later. I'm always amazed that people think that weddings are good times to propose. Only thing worse than a wedding would be a funeral. And if you are going to propose at a wedding, please make sure you have the permission of the bride and groom. My best friend's girlfriend practically begged him to propose for 3 years after college. He kept telling her he wanted to wait until he was established at his job, had money for a ring, wedding, house, etc. He was in love with her, but he is the kind of guy that wants to do everything the correct way, or at least what he thinks is the correct way. She eventually stopped bothering him about it, which included leaving little hints around the apartment. She used to leave wedding magazines or ads for sales at a jewelry store on the coffee table. So he finally gets established at work, saves a ton of money for a ring and a decent wedding. He plans a really cool proposal, and she said no. She actually broke down in tears and admitted she was seeing someone else for about 6 months and was in love but didn't know how to let him down easy. She was married a year later. He recently got engaged after spending about 10 years dating many different women. I'm really happy for him now because for a while he was in a dark place. My dad proposed to my mom on Christmas Eve at church because my mom made an offhand comment about how it would be pretty to get married there. Her response? Asked me when you're serious. What she didn't know was that the ring was under the Christmas tree back home. They celebrated their 30-ish-year wedding anniversary in June. Not a proposal, but when my mom and dad were dating, my dad told my mom he loved her. Her reply was, "When I feel the same, I'll let you know." It became a running joke in their marriage. Honestly, I'm left wondering what else can one say when they can't answer. I love you too. Thank you? Just plain silence? I think your mother's answer was as good as it gets. Got rejected because, and I quote, "The man is supposed to propose, not the woman." I was confident because we talked about wedding stuff beforehand and I didn't think it would be that big of a deal. Plus, he never proposed after that. Just left. My friend turned it down because he proposed when her nails weren't done and she couldn't have good pictures. She said yes when she felt like she received the proper proposal, which entailed the grand gesture be made under the northern lights in Alaska. Reminds me of when I was getting ready to propose to my wife. She typically does most of the planning and I just go where I'm told. Works perfectly for me cause I hate planning shit, and the stuff she plans is what I would want to do anyway. So she mentions a weekend that's coming up, and I said actually we are busy that weekend. And she asked if she should get her nails done. I just said you might as well. She knew what was coming. I tricked my wife by letting her set up a nice night out for my birthday with a hotel room and all, but I planned dinner. Told her to dress nice cause it's a nice place. I had flowers waiting at a private table and she still didn't figure it out till I got on my knee and popped the ring. I was 19 and in love. My wife was in love, but if we were going to get married I needed to grow up. I made some changes and asked her again 6 months later. She said yes and we got married 3 months later. We celebrated our 20th anniversary in May. Oh, I can answer this one. So, I proposed to my girlfriend and she didn't say anything, which basically means no. I had it planned out perfectly. I proposed to her at the spot we first met, the moon was out, we were all alone and, to top it all off, I proposed with my great-grandmother's wedding ring. I honestly didn't think it'd be a no. I was so confident that I even had my best friend and her roommate plan a celebration party at her place. The reason she said no? She didn't like the ring. Needless to say, we didn't last very long after that. If the ring is the problem, the ring isn't the problem. I've never understood why people propose without it being a confirmed topic of conversation prior to the proposal. When I proposed to my ex, I knew 100% that I was getting the yes, because we had discussed it. She even knew what kind of ring she was getting. It was just down to the planning of how and when for me. She did end up leaving me the week before the wedding, so I would have preferred a no much sooner, but that's life. My dad proposed to my mom blind drunk at a party. He didn't have a ring, so he used a plastic one that was being used as cocktail decoration. She laughed, helped him up, and told him to ask again when he was sober. Only took him 4 years. I was 18, and had been dating this guy for 2 years. He enlisted, and didn't think to mention it until he got his orders for basic training. I wasn't thrilled that he waited until after the fact to tell me, but I accepted it, and was supportive before and during his training. 3 months go by and we're at graduation. Instantly I notice, he's a different person. At 18 I already knew that life experience changes people, and over those few days I start getting scared that this military life isn't a good fit for me. I'm nothing like those people, I wouldn't fit in, and it's not the lifestyle I wanted for myself. I'm sort of marinating on these thoughts and figuring out where to go from here. Basically, how do I end this politely? I decide basic training graduation isn't the time. I would wait until he's settled at tech school. The time comes to leave the base and go home, and he gets down on one knee. I'm totally shocked somehow. I didn't think this was a possibility. He wanted what all young military guys want: marriage and a family. I wanted those things too, but not with this shell of a person he'd become, and not living as a military wife. He's doing fine now. We both found partners and have families. We're still friends, and we both agree that it's a good thing I didn't accept his proposal. I was the one who said no because he refused to wear shoes in public, shops, malls, etc. Loved him like crazy, but for some reason I just couldn't accept the no shoes policy. I broke up with Jim because I felt that it was such a stupid thing to hold over him, considering the amazing things he has done for me and my child. I felt horrible. He texted me every day for months, asking to meet up for coffee, wanting to see my son, not his bio kid, but they were crazy over each other. First date he had shoes on and made me drink too much wine. Took me home and asked me to try again. I was too drunk to say no. Been married 8 years, he wears shoes in public, and I think he is just awesome. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.